snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This book is a book that I was highly excited about and very eager to try out. Particularly the cover is stunning on this, but also the story itself sounded like something I would really enjoy because it was kind of fairy tale-esque and it sounded a little bit interesting. It's the first Naomi Novik book I've ever read, and I did it as a buddy read, and we had some really mixed opinions in the buddy reading group because some people gave it 5 stars, some people gave it 1 star, some people were in the middle and liked it but didn't love or hate it, and there was a real mix of opinions. So it was a really great buddy read because we ended up doing a lot of discussion and we had a lot of really interesting conversations about this book and the way that she had written it and the ideas that she'd used and the techniques she used and whether it was good or bad or what we thought of it. So I really enjoyed doing the buddy read. The book itself was a little bit not as good as I hoped, but not terrible either. So let me tell you what this is all about. Basically, we follow a young girl called Agnieszka, and Agnieszka lives in this village which is sort of in the shadow of these big woods. The woods are kind of creepy, no one likes to go there, and often when someone does go too close to the woods, it will claim them and you will never see them again, and they will be infected by the woods and they will become a part of the woods. So it's pretty creepy. You don't want to go in there. Then we have this big tower which sort of overlooks their village, as you can see on the front cover, and the tower is where the dragon lives. The dragon is a wizard. He's not a dragon, he's just called the dragon, and he is a wizard who lives up in this tower, and every 10 years he comes down from his tower and he chooses a girl from the village to come and live with him for 10 years and serve him and help him, and no one really knows what happens to these girls once they're up the tower. They always come back and the first thing they want to do is leave the village and not stay there and get away. So it's kind of a big mystery as to what goes on with him in the tower and what he does and what the girls do, and no one really knows what happens. So we're following Agnieszka as she basically comes to a point where the dragon is coming down from the tower and has the potential to choose her or her friend or some of the other village girls. And I'm sure you can guess what happens next. I liked elements of this book. I thought that the writing style was quite simplistic, it was quite easy to read, and it didn't take me long to get through at all. I was definitely not having a hard time reading it. It was just very easy and quick to read, so that wasn't a problem. However, I would have maybe liked a little bit more complexity in the writing. I think it would have made it a little bit more ethereal and a little bit more beautiful and whimsical if there was a little bit more thought put into the writing as opposed to just writing what's happening. I felt like some scenes definitely could have done with a little bit more atmosphere. So that's just a small quibble. This book does have a lot of inspiration from certain fairy tales, and I know that the writer actually wrote it in order for her daughter to read it when her daughter is older. She wrote it for that reason, basing it off of some of the fairy tales and folklore that she had been told when she was younger. I think you can definitely see elements of Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, various other fairy tales within this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it felt a bit like there was one section that was Beauty and the Beast, and then suddenly we would switch from that one section to the next section, which would be Cinderella. We would go from seeing this girl interact with the dragon to seeing the girl at court, and then seeing the girl come back and have a big adventure and things like that. And so it felt a little bit clunky, and it felt like each section of the book, because even though there weren't sections, it felt like there were, was kind of different, and each section took on its own different tone, which I didn't really love very much because I felt like it was racing along at this rip-roaring, unrelenting pace that really didn't allow the reader much time to breathe and sort of take it all in. There were moments that I was really enjoying this book, and I thought that there were some ideas like the woods and stuff that were fairly classic fairy tale but really interesting, and she was doing a nice spin on them. But equally, I just didn't feel like I fully understood everyone and fully got to know them as characters and people. It felt very two-dimensional to me. They were just words on a page at some points of the book. It wasn't a real flesh and blood character for me, and I didn't feel like I cared whether the main character was going to die or not. Like, that wasn't a concern for me. There was another main character called Kazuya in this. The only one I even remotely cared a bit about was Agnieszka, and that was because she was the main character. And even her, I didn't really care if she died, I just knew who she was better than the other two because there was more information given about her. I just didn't feel like this book lived up to the hype that was surrounding it. I think because so many people had been raving about it and the cover was stunning and the book sounded really interesting, I was expecting something more when I went into it, and it really didn't fulfill those expectations that I had. Unfortunately, it wasn't a lack of story. There is a story and it's definitely one that's easy to follow. It was more a lack of atmosphere and a lack of characterization. And so I didn't feel like Naomi Novik really played strongly enough into the fairy tale tropes that she was employing. I think she kind of flitted around from one to the next, trying not to get too immersed in the story and trying to make use of lots of different ideas. And for me, that didn't work as well as it could have done. I really enjoyed the ending. I think the ending of the book was my favourite section. I think the last 2 chapters was my favourite section because that was very whimsical and very interesting, and I liked the ideas that she put into the book there. They felt a bit more unique and original, and I wasn't expecting the ending, and I didn't expect it to end how it did, so I liked that bit. But most of the book I was just reading it and getting through it and enjoying the discussion of the book more than the book. It's not a bad book. It's definitely not a bad book. But it's equally not a great one either. It's just an okay, middle of the road. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't really like it. I just liked it. It was readable, it was fun, it had some good ideas, but it was, at the end of the day, just a 2-dimensional character and a 2-dimensional story. So I don't know what you guys thought. I would love to hear your thoughts because we had really, really mixed opinions in the group, as I said. I would definitely be intrigued to hear whether you liked it or didn't like it and what elements of it you liked if you have enjoyed it, because I obviously think it's a great one for discussion. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars, which is not bad at all, but it's definitely not one of my favourite books, and I don't know if I would go out and buy all of her other stuff. I do already own the first 3 books in the Temerae series, so I do intend to try them. I hope that I will enjoy that series a little bit more because it's focused on actual dragons from what I know, so that sounds like it could be fun. But yeah, I own them already. I wouldn't have gone out and bought them after this book. I think I would have just gone, nah, it's alright, she's an okay writer, and left it. So we'll give her another chance. I will give her another chance with the Temerae books, and maybe they'll blow my mind. I know a lot of you guys really like them, so I will definitely be reading them at some point. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know whether you liked it or don't like it, and whether you like Naomi Novik's other stuff as well. If you do, would you recommend the Temerae books? Are they the only other books she's written? I'm not sure. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little